Good afternoon, folks. This is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glen, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And today's show is definitely one that I'm excited to definitely have. I have a special guest, Mr. Idris Talib. He is definitely one of the guys that I have looked up to for years. He's been a mentor from afar. I probably owe him a check for teaching some of the stuff that I've been watching him do. But I got to say, this brother has an amazing story. He has an amazing heart to share. He has an amazing mind of information. And we're definitely going to bring him in so he can share his story, share some of the things that he's actually been able to accomplish. He is affectionately known as the Pretty House Guy. When I first heard that, I was like, man, who does this guy think he is? Then I met him. I was like, okay, I get why he says that. So listen, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the share button. Definitely share this. Facebook limits me from being able to share it in different groups, but I want you guys to help me out and share this information. Tell as many of your friends about it as you possibly can. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in my special guest, Mr. Idris. You with me, sir?
How you doing? How you doing today?
Great, brother. Great to have you, man. Great to have you. Listen, I did an okay introduction to who you are, man. I hope you didn't hear the thing I said about the Pretty House Guy part, did you? But listen, thank you for being on today, man. Thank you for coming to share your knowledge and your wisdom and your experience, good, bad, or indifferent. Because it's certainly a testimony that I believe people should be able to hear. So I thank you for being an open book and being able to share. So listen, I did a bit of an introduction, but I want you to share with the folks in your own words who you are and kind of, what you got going on, and we'll get right into it.
Okay, well, my name is Idris Talib. I'm known as the Pretty House Guy. I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia. So I started investing in real estate about 18 years ago. It was 2003 when I got my first property. And the strategies that I utilize is creative real estate. I do a lot of lease options, subject to financing, and owner financing. So I've been doing real estate for years. At the same time, my background's in finance, healthcare, as well as real estate. So those are the three areas that I specialize in.
So tell the folks, man. Now I told you about my wondering who this guy, this Pretty House Guy. He's making us all the rest of us hard-working fix-it flippers look bad. We get out and buy these houses and they're ugly and we they smell bad, right. And we got to go in and fix them up and do all this hard work. How did you get to be the Pretty House Guy?
Well, you know what? The way that I learned real estate was through lease options. My father sent me a no money down course. It was about how to do lease options, how to make money with nice houses and nice neighborhoods. So that was my introduction in real estate. And that's kind of what I stuck with. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting. I didn't even know how you can make money with a house that costs less than $100,000 until I got exposed to wholesaling. So, right. So, I knew people about fixing and flipping. I'd heard about that. It sounded like a lot of work to me. I've actually done a couple of rehabs. I've done some rehabs myself, but I say, you know what? That's just not my lane. I don't really want to wait, 4 to 6 months to get paid off of a deal when I can get paid within 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow. Listen, I feel like there's going to be a lot of shots fired on this show.
Because no. I mean, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. I know quite a few individuals, they make 6, 7, 8 figures doing fix and flips. I know wholesalers who make over $1 million a year. So there's definitely a strategy that can be utilized to develop some wealth for yourself.
It is. But you just said something that makes a ton of sense, man. You and a few other people that I have a lot of respect for say pretty much the same thing about some of the things that we do. And you got to have a heart. You got to have the guts to be able to do the fixing and flipping, even wholesaling. Even wholesaling, to me, is like a job, because you work hard. Right. But based on the perspective that you're coming from, pretty houses, is not that challenging of a thing to deal with.
Well, the thing is, I like to do things a little bit different. So I take a look at the overall market. Most
Mm-hmm.
people, they're not going to be willing to sell their house 60, 70 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So whereas the strategy that I'm able to utilize, I can actually offer you full price. As a matter of fact, I can offer you more than what you're asking for to entice you to perhaps wait to get all of your equity out of the property.
Wow.
If that's something that you're looking at doing, because you know, the first question I always ask people, what is your number one objective? Is it for you to make as much money as humanly possible off this house, or are you looking to sell this house as fast as possible? And that'll kind of dictate what path that I'm gonna go on with them.
Wow. Wow. Listen, that right there, I'm talking about, that was probably 5 seconds. That right there is a jewel in and of itself, you know, because coming from a lot of different people's perspective of getting involved in wholesaling and doing real estate, most of what we understand is we should be buying below market value. We should be buying, we should get that, like you said, 60 to 70% on a dollar type of deal, more closer to 50 cents on the dollar. And you know, that's the mindset that a lot of us lead with. Now, of course, you know, me knowing some creative strategies, if it doesn't work that way, I can go the other way. But most people don't lead with that. How profitable, if you don't mind sharing that with us, how profitable would you say it is to be able to buy a house at market value or above market value? How profitable? How can I make money doing that?
All right. So what I normally look for is to make at least 5% of whatever the sales price is. And I look for houses, I specialize houses, $250,000 or above.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if we're looking at that price point, so everything that I do, I'm taking it, I use a macroeconomic model to determine, you know, what I'm going to do with that house in the marketplace. So if we look at a place like Atlanta, Georgia, we know if someone is living in a house, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, then that's probably a household income of over 6 figures.
Okay.
You know, the way that I get paid on that transaction, I look for individuals who want to have a house to own, but they can't qualify to own their own house. You know, we have a lot of individuals, they have great incomes, however, they can't qualify for financing. I mean, just imagine paying $3,000, $4,000 a month in rent. You have absolutely nothing to show for it whatsoever. But for whatever reason, you're not able to qualify for financing. Usually it may be your credit, or we have a lot of entrepreneurs that make great money. The problem is when they do their taxes, they write everything off. Their business may generate over $1 million. However, by the time they have all their write-offs, they're only showing a profit of $60,000 or $70,000. And the mortgage lenders look, how are you going to afford a $400,000 or $500,000 house when you're only showing that you make $60,000 or $70,000 of profit? So that's where I can come in to add value to that individual and put them into a position where they can eventually own this house.
Wow, wow. And I imagine we'll call it, we'll use the C word. I imagine your competition is very little because, like I said, the overwhelming majority of people lead with buying the ugly houses and fixing them up and then turn them into the $300,000 house. So how would you say we'll use the word competition space is in that space?
There's really not a lot. You know, it's funny because when I call on these individuals, they oftentimes in their ad, they will say, like if I'm looking on Zillow or Craigslist, they say, we are not open to a lease option. However, by the time I'm finished with it, it's funny. They end up doing a lease option or some type of owner financing. It's funny to me. So I just laugh when I see that. But it's very limited competition, especially as you go up in the price ranges.
Wow. Wow. So the I guess we'll call it, not even to the rookie level, we'll call it the intermediate investor. They look at these houses and that's something that they automatically pass over, right? You know, most experienced investors, you know, some experienced investors have some creative strategies, but we'll say the intermediate investor overlooks these opportunities. What is the first thing that you look at when you see these type of deals? Do you know automatically this is the approach? Do you have an idea of the exit strategy you're going to take? What are kind of some of the steps, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Okay, so the first thing that I do is, I have an unlimited amount of people, amount of leads that come in. So the people that I'm calling are for sale by owner and for rent by owner. So if we look at the psychology of somebody who's posting an ad on Craigslist, Zillow, Trulia, any of these websites, for one, they have to create a profile. Then they're taking pictures of their house. Now they're writing a description. And then the most important thing, the telltale sign, they put their phone number directly in that ad. So what that means is they want me to call them about buying their house. I don't have to wonder if they want me to call them. This is not a cold call. Wow. This is someone who, I'll open up by saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Such and Such, I saw your house on Craigslist or Zillow. Is it still available? It's either yes or no.
Right.
And they say, yes, it's still available. Can you tell me a little bit about the house? So I'm building a little bit of rapport with them. In terms of answering your question, do I know exactly what I'm going to do with that house? Not necessarily until I figure out the answer to one question. People sell for only two reasons, either need or greed. And when I say greed, it's basically they bought the house at a lower price. The house has gone up in value. It's time to cash out. That's what I mean by greed. They're going to have a profitable transaction. Or it may be need. I need to sell this house because this payment on this house is something that I cannot afford to do or I have no desire to do. So I try to see what category are they in. And then a lot of that is kind of going to determine my strategy. Because one of the things, I'm sure you're seeing this in the marketplace right now with wholesaling, you may not be able to get those 30% margins. So the money has been made on the spread right now. It's all about the spread. So I would utilize the same thing because sometimes I may bring in a retail buyer and I'm still able to make it $25,000 spread real fast.
Wow. And listen, you just knocked a whole lot of us out of the box with that, man. I got to say, you definitely knocked us out of the box. But I want to get to this because you're dealing with this thing like what a lot of people miss. You dealing with this thing with a specific psychological advantage, a specific psychological idea of how a lot of this works, right? You use the word that many people might have just missed or glazed over altogether. Use the word a macroeconomic approach, right? And then you said it's not a cold call because they put their number out there for you to call them. A lot of what people do in wholesaling, and I do it myself, I have people that do cold calling. A lot of people, they go and search the person's number, right? They get the address, they got to go through and skip trace and find all these people, and then they're calling them up, annoying them about a house that they either forgot they had or don't want anymore. They go through that whole process. But you cut out all of that work, right? We'll call it that. It's work. You cut out of all of that work and that whole process, and you go direct to the person who wants you to call them.
Correct.
And I imagine it's an easier conversation than the ones that a lot of us are having because they put their number out. So what are some of now you gave us a little bit of idea, but can you give us maybe 3 exit strategies that you would go and use for a property that you now have control over? Because I imagine that's the goal, is to get control of it. What are maybe 3 of the exit strategies that you would use to be able to sell that now pretty house?
Okay, so the first one would be I would sell it actually on a rent-to-own basis. So that's just a lease with an option to buy. And there's 2 ways that I may do that. I may stay in the transaction, in which that's called a sandwich lease option. Or what I may do is I just may assign my position to that tenant buyer. It just depends on if there's any cash flow. If there's no cash flow, I don't have any economic incentive to stay in the middle of that deal. If there is cash flow, I have a strong economic incentive to stay in that deal. So that's my determining factor for a rent-to-own. The second thing that I'm doing right now, especially in today's market, is I'm making money on the spread. So what I'm doing is I'm finding buyers agents that already have, pre-qualified individuals looking to buy a house. I'm able to find off-market properties. And if I can negotiate a good price with that seller, I'll have the buyer's agent throw the 3% on top of my asking price, and then we bring in a retail buyer, and then we cash out that way. Or another way that I may do it, the third way, may be with owner financing. Owner financing is my favorite way to be able to buy and sell houses.
Wow. So let me ask you this, and it's kind of a rhetorical question, but why don't more of us do business this way?
I think what it is, whenever you wholesale and whenever you're rehabbing, it's very simple. It's basically buy low, sell high.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So with the way that I do it, it's more so of understanding someone's psychology. Mm-hmm. So it's not as simple as just looking at the numbers. To me, the numbers are very important. However, it's secondary to the motivation. Why are you looking to sell? What's going to happen if you don't sell this property? What do you feel your options are? How's that going to make you feel? Do you really want to have to go through that? What if I can show you how you're able to get all the benefits that you're desiring, but at the same time, you're able to maximize the amount of money that you want to make? Is that a conversation that perhaps you and I can have?
Wow. And I'm imagining those ears and eyes are wide open when you ask that question.
Another thing, one of their objections, oh, you're an investor. I don't want to sell it to an investor. I said, whoa, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Such and such. I'm not trying to beat you up on a price and have you just hand me your house pennies on a dollar. As a matter of fact, depending on how open you are, I may even be able to create a scenario in which I can give you more money than you're asking for. For example, what if there was a way in which I can give you $420,000 for your $300,000 house? Is that a conversation perhaps you and I can have?
Wow. Absolutely. I'm open to that all day long. I imagine that's what they're telling you.
Right. So now what I've done is I piqued their interest. Mm-hmm. And then all I have to do is explain to them financially how it can be beneficial to them, and it's going to meet their needs as well.
Wow.
So whenever you're doing creative real estate, that's where your creativity really comes into play. Because coming in, I may not know exactly what it is I'm going to offer. By asking enough questions or whatever, sometimes what I'm going to do is just kind of going to reveal itself, or maybe a combination of strategies as well that I'm able to utilize.
Wow. And I imagine being a finance expert helps in knowing, how to,
you know what? It does, because I will say this though, when you start getting into the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 properties and more, you are dealing more times than not, you're dealing with a more sophisticated type of a seller. Mm-hmm. So some of the things I have to break down, I can't just persuade them because I'm very persuasive. I have to be able to justify everything that I say mathematically. A lot of them are very analytical, or they're going to send things to their CPA or their attorney to ensure that everything that I'm saying makes sense from a financial perspective. Wow.
Another advantage, because you know how to speak the language to those things, being that finance is your background.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have something. Here's a tip as well that I want to give all of the listeners as well, because one of the number one deal killers is, I want to show this to my attorney. Whenever they talk to their attorney's kind of looking down on the investor, unless you're bringing in all cash or you're trying to bring in somebody with a loan. So instead, I have an attorney who understands what I'm doing. So I tell the seller, great. Why don't you have your attorney talk to my attorney, and they can put their legal minds together and be able to structure a way in which this would be mutually beneficial.
Wow.
So now it's peer to peer. That attorney is not going to be looking down at the other attorney because both of them are peers. And my attorney understands what I'm doing, so my attorney can express to that other attorney how everything that I'm doing is legal and compliant.
Great stuff. So let me ask you this. Is this something that could be done anywhere USA?
Absolutely. Yes. Matter of fact, this is crazy. I have a guy, he's in Maine doing who lives in Maine? But he's in Maine doing this.
Wow. Absolutely amazing, man. So now being able to do these types of deals, right? And of course, the lead source is, like you said, unlimited, because people are listing on Zillow and all these other places that they have properties available. With the market, the way it's happening now, I mean, especially here in Atlanta, where properties are selling overpriced and all these types of things, are you finding anyone else that is Well, I imagine, like I said, with the competition is limited. But do you run into a scenario? Say, have you run into a scenario where you called on the seller and they said, "Well, I'm getting a full price offer." Well, someone else has already made an offer, right? And you say to them, "I want to give you more than what that person is giving you." And here's the scenario how that works. Have you run into something like that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's the first thing that they say, because one of the things that everyone knows right now is if you do list a house with a realtor and it's priced right, it will sell.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
But the value proposition I'm bringing to the table is, look, do you want to list it or sell it? What if there's a way in which you do not have to lose any money by paying that commission?
Wow. Wow.
And that's what I'm bringing to the table, is because you're talking about a $600,000 house. 6% of that, that's $36,000.
Definitely. Yeah. So I imagine that, and again, you said something that is another purely psychological thing that people might miss. Do you want to list it or do you want to sell it? And there's a big difference, because in listing, it will eventually sell.
Right.
But so when you have these situations, that they have, it's, so if it needs a little bit of work, do you do any repairs or anything like that? How does that part work out?
So that really depends. So often that's another value proposition I bring to them as well, because a lot of these houses that have been lived in for a while, they're going to need about $15,000, $20,000 to bring it up to market value. I was like, look, I'll take their house as is.
Right.
Now, is it something that I may do myself? Maybe, maybe not. If it's purely cosmetic, like carpet, paint, landscaping, or whatever, I'll go ahead and take care of that to bring up the value. But if it's something that's more structural in nature, nah. I'll let my tenant buyer know what's going on with the house. I'm truly transparent with them. And I say, as a matter of fact, this can be an advantage to you, because instead of selling at full price, you're able to get some type of a discount if you're going to be able to come in and do the repairs yourself.
Wow. Great stuff. If you've already negotiated your price on the front side, and then you negotiate with the tenant buyer on the back side.
Right.
That is genius.
So I'm always looking to make a spread, because worst case scenario, even if what I negotiated with the seller on the front end, here's one thing investors need to know: you can always renegotiate.
Definitely.
You can always renegotiate.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I think a lot of times people miss the whole negotiating part. Like, what we're seeing in our market now, people miss the negotiating part on the front end until they find that they're not going to get that overinflated price on the back end. Then they have to go back and renegotiate. So let me ask you this: would this be akin to wholesaling in a sense?
It can be. It can be like I would say maybe a cousin to wholesaling. You're just going at it from a different angle.
Making more money.
Right, and a lot faster.
Definitely. Okay. So do you teach this? Do you offer a course on this?
Yeah. I actually have a coaching program. I have students. I have 2 in California. I have 2 in the DC area. I have 1 in North Carolina. I'll tell you about that guy in Maine. I just can't believe any brothers stay in Maine, but he's up in Maine. And then I have 2 in Atlanta.
Definitely. You guys tell me where I can sign up, man. I got to be a part of this course, man. And I want you to share with the folks, when we get a little more into it, I want you to share with the folks how they can reach out to you to get in contact with you. Okay. Let's do that now. Excuse me. How can folks sign up for the course if they want to learn how to do something like that?
The biggest thing is you can just go to www.prettyhouseguy.com, and then you can just get on my online calendar. And then, because I don't just want anyone to be in the coaching program, so we'll have a conversation to find out if we're going to be a good fit to work with each other, because I'm very hands-on with the individuals. So it's not like you're just going to read a couple of articles or watch some videos. This is from A to Z, and there's 3 phases to it. The first phase is to get a check as fast as humanly possible with your name on it, because that's going to have you believing that you can make money in real estate. The next phase is I want to teach you how to become a real estate investor. How do you learn the ins and outs from A to Z, how to be a great investor? And then the next phase is how to develop and create an investment business. Because there's a difference between being an investor and having an investment business.
Man.
So with the investment business, I want to take you out of the day-to-day operations to where you're working on the business rather than in the business. Now, there may be some things that you just absolutely love doing, but you don't have to do them. We're going to put in systems. We're going to be able to delegate things. You're going to have a team. You're going to have automations that are going to be able to do some things for you, which allow you to scale.
Man, absolutely. That, you know, if I was a preacher, that is what I preach all day long, man. You know, because there's so many people that they want to get into what we do, right? They want to get into the business, but they don't understand that it is a business, right? And that's the thing. A lot of times they don't understand. You know, you can jump in and get a check from wholesaling, and all that can happen quickly. But the part that they miss is the scaling. And you have to have systems. You have to have things in place. You have to have a team, you know, at least some places that you can outsource things to. Like you said, so you're working on the business instead of in the business. Absolutely great stuff. I'm serious. I'm gonna have to, you know, I'm a student first. I'm a student before I'm anything. And I'll learn, you know, 100 things. Even if I knew it already, if this is your area of expertise, I'm definitely going to find out how I can do it better. But definitely, man, we're gonna definitely promote that so people can hear more about how they can become a part of that. So let's get to some of the other stuff that I know that you want to have a conversation about. Now, we in our marketing, of course, we talked about the situation that you had to face with dealing with incarceration.
Right.
And again, I want to applaud you, brother, before we get into it. I want to applaud you for coming on and publicly sharing your story. Because again, I believe it's something that people need to hear because of it being a testimony. Because even though, you know, it was a setback, you know, you're making a major comeback. You know, one of the things that I said is once the mind is stretched to a certain dimension, it will never retract. So I'll let you, you know, tell the folks in your own words what led to your incarceration.
Okay, so I owned a healthcare company. I had a couple of physician groups. I had some psychiatric rehab treatment facilities. I had some mental health agencies, and I had some urgent cares. Oh wow! So one of my gifts is I know how to make money, and I know how to make it fast. Right. You know, my background, I was a stockbroker on Wall Street. And then I ended up having an individual, this young guy, he was 30-some years old. In order to open up an account with me, I need you to have $250,000. He didn't have that. He said, I'm starting this business. I'm going to do $3 million this year. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm not going to lie, stereotype. I'm like, okay, yeah, right. Send me your financial statements. Month 1, 3,000. Month 2, it was like 20-some thousand. Month 3, it was like 40. I said, man, he's making money fast. He ended up doing 2.8 million at first, not quite 3, but I don't care. That was close enough for me. Right, right. He said, you know, what would it take for you to leave Morgan Stanley and come work with me? I said, well, make me an offer. And then he said, okay, I'll give you, it's like 100-some thousand. I said, well, I make more than that now. I'll tell you what, pay me $50,000 a year, but I want 5% off every single office that you have as profit sharing. Okay. That's how we made a substantial amount of money, and I really learned the business. I used to own a restaurant, which was a Quiznos, so it was a franchise. And what I did was I decided to venture off and start my own business. And what I did was I used franchise concepts in healthcare because the margins are so large. Wow. So fast forward to everything to I had an office in Raleigh, Charlotte, Greenville, Columbia, Williamston, and in Atlanta. It was a huge operation. Okay. Wow. And I'll never forget it. I was in Atlanta. We got audited because we were billing different type of insurance companies. We had an audit at my Columbia office. So my office manager called me and he said, you know, some people from Medicaid want to talk to you. I said, okay, cool. So he said, well, Mr. Talib, we're looking for such and such files. I said, okay, tell Dwayne to get you the files. He got back on the phone. He said, we don't have those files. I said, what do you mean we don't have those files? So nonetheless, since we didn't have certain files, that's when they opened up this huge investigation. So it comes to find out, and I'll be the first to tell people there, we were committing Medicaid fraud. So basically, we had individuals that we were billing on that we were not seeing. And keep in mind, I had over 300 people working for me at this time. And what happens was some of them kind of got slick. They're like, look, we can put these notes into the electronic health records, and then we're going to get paid, because I used to bill from the note. And I would say one of the mistakes that I made was I didn't hire somebody who was over compliance for me. So I needed to have somebody who was overlooking every single note and documentation to ensure it was medically necessary for us to be able to do those procedures with them. So that was the big mistake that I made. But anyway, it was February 20, 2018. I had a condo. I mean, it was sweet. Downtown Orlando. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard some knocks on my door. And basically it was Fulton County Sheriff. And I was like, what is this all about? They said, we'll tell you when you get to the elevator. So they put me in handcuffs and they said, you have 2 warrants for your arrest out of South Carolina. One was obtaining property under false pretenses, and the other one was false statement by a medical provider. So I'm down in Fulton County for about a week, and then I get extradited to Greenville, South Carolina. And then that's when I go for my bond hearing. I'm thinking it's gonna be like $2,500, $5,000, no big deal. But then the attorney general showed up. He said, I wanted to be $250,000 cash. And I was like, wow. He said, this guy's a threat to society. I'm like, but nonetheless, so after that hearing, I had trouble posting bond because I've never lived in South Carolina a day in my life, and they thought I was a flight risk. And I just told them, I said, look, I have a clean criminal record. I have no reason to run from this. So I ended up bonding out. So I was there for probably about a week or so. I ended up bonding out. And then my attorney, while I was out on bond, I had to stay in South Carolina for 2 months. I was living in hotels. You know, I don't know why I didn't end up getting an Airbnb, but that's another story. But nonetheless, I ended up staying in hotels. So if you think about it, we negotiated a plea bargain with the state. They're like, look, they're going to give me 6 months to pay back $400,000 and I'll do no jail time. So throughout that time, I mean, I just went broke. Everything that could happen, happened. I had that $250,000 bill. I was going through a divorce. I had my criminal defense attorney, my divorce attorney, my ex-wife divorce attorney, the bills at the house, a condo in Atlanta, and staying in hotels. I just went broke. So fast forward, over those 6 months, I wasn't able to come up with that $400,000. So I go to my sentencing hearing. I didn't have any idea what I was going to be sentenced to. So I go there, and then the judge gave me 5 years, on which I did 2 years. So I was in prison for 2 years out of those 5 years. So I'm finishing up my sentence. I got out 6 months early. As a matter of fact, 60 days from today, I'll be able to go back to Atlanta or anywhere in the world. I'll be off everything. My whole sentence will be finished in 60 days.
Wow. Brother, listen, let me first be the first. Well, I'm probably not the first, but let me give it up to you, man, for that testimony, brother. Because you know, it's things like that people don't have the whole story. So I'm glad you're here to share your story. Because I'll be honest, one of the, how I found out a couple years ago. I was calling you to invite you to the show. You know, we did a show before, and I was reaching out to you, and I was like, you know, hey, I want you to come back on the show again. And then when I wasn't able to reach you, I said, you know what? I got a recording. I'm going to play the recording of the show. And as the show was playing, and it was playing live, so people, you know, were thinking that we were on the show together. So somebody inboxed me, and they said, Idris can't be on your show right now because he's incarcerated. I said, no, not Idris, you know, not, you know, and then they sent me the news article and all that, you know. So but to now understand, like, you know, these things happen, you know, when you're responsible for, I mean, several businesses and you're responsible for several people, you know, it only takes one time for someone in your business to make a mistake for you then to have to take the fall for it or take the responsibility for it. So that's the thing that a lot of people need to understand, you know, because, you know, the story was, oh, Idris did this and this, that, and the other, but people don't know the whole story. So you know, I'm glad you're here to be able to share your story, man. But listen, that was a setback, you know, and again, even though you had to, you know, sit down for a little while, as, you know, my folks would call it, it didn't take away from who you are, what you had accomplished, the knowledge and information that you had. None of that could be erased from what you already have going on. So, and I know we talked a little bit before, there was some
Okay, repeat what you just said when we had a glitch or something.
Yeah, I think it was a little glitch.
Okay.
So I think there was a course or something that you taught while you were there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was there, actually, so my whole mentality when I went into prison, I was like, you know what? I'm going to utilize this to actually help myself develop a skill set that I can utilize once I leave. So to me, it was my mentality was this is just like I'm at an all-male college. That's really what it is. Whatever.
Okay.
Fortunately for me, I was at a program yard, so we did a lot of programs. I was the only incarcerated inmate who they allowed to teach classes. So at first they had me on work release out on the street working and stuff, but I told them I don't really want to do this. I said, I'll be a much better benefit teaching the guys to help them get their GED because my background was engineering. That's why I studied at college. Wow. So when I was there, I taught people for their GED. So in those 2 years I was there, we broke every South Carolina record for the amount of individuals getting their GED. And that's because
come on, brother.
I things. Yeah, another thing what I did was I said, look, by you being incarcerated or whatever, I'm going to teach you how to make some real money. So I created a class. It was really, I call it flipping bricks for profit. Just to bring people into the class, whatever. And I taught them how to invest in real estate. And in my class, one of the things I used to always say, now look, if you want to be great, you have to participate. You can't just sit back and spectate. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. We did a lot of role playing. I had them get up. How do you introduce yourself to somebody? What do you say to somebody? How do you overcome these objections? And we constantly role played over and over and over and over again. And, I kind of built a reputation around the whole campus that, if you want to be successful in real estate or anything in finance, come to me. While I was there, I helped not only the incarcerated individuals who I was with, also a lot of staff. I helped repair some of the credit. I helped set up some IRAs for them. I helped rebalance some portfolios. I helped one of the people get pre-qualified for a mortgage. They ended up buying a house. We helped do some estate planning with some other people. So while I was there, I was able to do a lot of things. And because I was in education, I'm not gonna lie, they gave me preferential treatment. Anytime I wanted to leave the dorm, I'll say, look, I want to go to my classroom and prepare a lesson. I said, okay. Because we weren't in sales like you see on TV. It was nothing like you see on TV. I was at minimum custody. So people weren't out there trying to stab you up or rape you or none of that stuff was going on.
It's like none of that.
Yeah.
Wow, man, listen, absolutely amazing, brother. Absolutely amazing. I mean, to be able to take that experience and turn it into as much of a positive as possible, you know, and not only continue to be able to sharpen your axe is what we'll call it, and because you were continuously using your craft, right? Many of us know, those of us that are educators, excuse me, we learn by teaching, right? A lot of times I learn more by teaching, and to be able to continue to teach, you were able to continue to retain a lot of the information that you taught and the stuff that you'd already learned. So I know when you came home, it was just inevitable that you're going to be back into the game and getting it done again, man.
That day, I was doing real estate. That day I got out. Like, well, do you want to? I said, no, I'm not trying to relax. I had 2 years to chill. I said, no, let's get it.
Say, let's get it going.
Right.
So I know part of your testimony is going from prison to profits to pretty house profits. What have you done so far since you've been home? How many deals have you closed? And can I get some of that money?
Well, so right now I've closed actually and received actually non-refundable option fees on 6 properties. I have 3 more in a contract right now. So the day that I got out, fortunately, and this is a blessing though. So one of the correctional officers, so like I said, I lost everything. I didn't even have a car. He gave me his car. It was a 2020 Charger, so I had a car to drive.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was helping him.
Wait. A correction officer gave you a car to drive?
Yeah.
Man, bro, that ain't no prison story, bro.
Well, he was like, you can just drive this until you get your car. So that's basically what it was. And in return, I was going to teach him real estate. See, another thing is I use my knowledge base to be able to develop opportunities for myself. The same thing right now. So getting out, there's this brother who lives in Atlanta. I was going to stay with him because he had a house in Columbia. He ended up moving back to Atlanta. I didn't have anywhere to stay. So when I got out, I had to rent a room at this place. And then while I was renting a room, I said, why am I paying to rent a room when all I have to do is I can probably rent a house and then sublease the rooms myself?
Yeah. Oh,
so I went.
Come on, brother.
So I went to this other place, and the man knew that I knew something about real estate. So he owns a Subway and he owns a couple of Papa John's. And I knew a guy who used to come speak to us at the prisons who owns Subways. And they knew each other and they gave me a high recommendation. So instead, I negotiated with him. I said, look, here's a house that was vacant. It was a pretty nice house too. I said, look, while I'm moving to this house, I'll pay you. So the deal that I struck here, I'm actually in this house right now. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, hardwood floors, everything. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I pay him $300 a month in rent, and I pay all the utilities and everything. And I'm going to help him sell this house for a lease with an option to buy once I leave here in 60 days. That's the agreement we struck. And then plus he's a private lender for me as well if I need money to do any type of projects.
What?
Yeah, it's great. Like I'm paying less money for this whole house than I did for renting out a room at that other house.
Wow. 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 I mean, and again, it goes to show, man, that the knowledge and the the experience that you had never turned off, right?
Right.
And that's that's one of the things that's always been said about people that have accomplished great things. That even if you take it all away from them, it's a matter of moments. We'll say a matter of time, but it's a matter of moments before they're able to redeem it again. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I used to always joke. This is fun. I used to always joke. I say, you know what? If I lost everything, I'll get out and I'll easily make 6 figures in a year just coming out. And never did I know that would actually happen to me, that I would lose everything. And then I got out and I just said, this just it's just another challenge or whatever. And the one thing I will say is going to prison actually allowed me to escape, the prison that I had in my head. And the thing that I tell people is, if you're not out there pursuing your dreams or living your dreams right now, you're actually in prison. You are.
Yeah.
It's the mental prison. And that was actually a class I used to teach in prison as well for the guys leaving. It was called Personal Prison Break. And that for me, because one of the things that I did, we all talk about multiple streams of income. My problem, I was chasing every single thing and I was making good money. So this time, right now in my life, this is the first time I've actually been able to focus all of my attention and only do real estate. And that's what's so exciting for me right now.
Wow. Wow. That's again. And then not only have you gotten back into the business, now you're going back into the mode of what you were doing before, educating people on how to do exactly what it is you're doing. I mean, I got students all over the country. I ain't got nobody in Maine yet, though. That's again, I'm gonna have to learn how to do that too. So back to the game. I want you said something about the story about the house that you're in now.
Right.
How now, was this somebody that you knew, or how did you locate that house again?
Oh, it was the guy who owned the house that I was renting a room from.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. That's right. Wow.
He stereotyped me as well. And I was just dropping some knowledge on him. And I said, look, man, just Google me. I don't have nothing to lie to you. I don't lie about anything whatsoever. I told him my exact situation. And then what led credibility was that other individual who owned all those restaurants who knew me personally.
Got it.
That's what, man, and that's something for people as well. They're like, well, I'm just getting started. I don't know what to do. I said the fastest way to build credibility is to get a recommendation with somebody who already has credibility. And that's what I did.
Definitely. I mean, and being able to tap into all the resources that you had even before you had gone, and get right back out and tap into some of those resources is definitely a blessing. I gotta say, when you reached out to me on Facebook when you came home, and somebody sent me a message, how social media is. You get all these different messages from people, and I'm like, nah, so I was like, who is this? I said, where you at? Where you been?
Yeah.
And you were full, gave a full disclosure. I'm like, oh, okay, this is my man right here. Then. But listen, man, it's again amazing to be able to have this conversation with you, man. I'm glad that you are back to doing what you love again. And because I know a lot of times when people experience something like that, that would completely not just wipe them out financially. A lot of times that will wipe them out mentally. Right? Because not many people are able to come back from something like that. Having to experience, you said you went through a divorce, losing your money and losing your home and losing your cars and all that. What would you tell someone from a redemption standpoint? What would you tell someone that has gone through something like that and is either wanting to get back or get back into it? Like, what would your words of encouragement be to someone that's going through something like that?
I'm gonna tell them exactly what I did. What I did was basically, this is the best book I've probably ever read. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. And basically create a mental image of who you want to be. If you're living your perfect dream life, who are you? How do you walk? How do you talk? What kind of clothes do you have on? And act as if you're that person right now. Because we all know that before you can have $1 million in your bank account, you have to be $1 million up here.
Definitely.
And you can act as if right now, what would a millionaire be doing right now? How do they walk? How do they talk? And I program, that's why I did even when I was in prison, I had people come up to me and say, what are you in here for? You're different than everyone else, just with my approach. I tell everybody, in one of my classes, I used to ask people, I'll say, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell me your name and who you are. They'll say my name, and I'm Wayne Johnson. I'm from Greenville, and I got 3 kids. Okay. And they'll just go all around or whatever. They'll say, who are you? And I'll introduce myself. My name is Idris Talib, and I'm a winner. Everything I do is about winning. I walk like a winner. I talk like a winner. I read like a winner. I even eat like a winner. Everything I do is about winning. And that's for anyone going through something like that, just see yourself as that person and just act as if right now, even if you don't have the clothes, it's all about creating that mental image of yourself and then walking through it, being that person day by day by day, and then it's going to manifest itself. I guarantee it.
Man, brother. Listen, I gotta say, I think I did a post today that said the Bible scripture is death and life are in the power of the tongue. And I said, choose to speak life. And as you mentioned, as you just said, like the things that we choose to speak into the atmosphere, we always have to be careful of it. You said, talk like a winner, speak, and all of that. I have affirmations on my wall. I say every day. I teach my son. My son knows affirmations, and these are the things, like you said, to act as if. Absolutely. I don't have that book, but I'm actually right now about to order it. I'm gonna have to send a message to my assistant to order that book because I gotta have it. But that's those are the things that I think a lot of times people hear us say, affirm, say your affirmations and things like that. Many times people get caught up in affirming the negative. Oh, I can't do this, or this is hard, or that's only for those people, and those type of things. And what they don't realize is that they speak those things into the atmosphere. That's the type of result that they're gonna get for themselves.
That's right. Yep. And that's what it's all about. And I think the key thing is, what I tell people is, when you do your affirmations, you have to create a mental image though, because we think in pictures. I used to tell people, I said, for example, my car used to have a red Lexus. When I say red Lexus, you're not thinking in your mind REDLEXUS. You're picturing a red car on wheels. And so when you say I am successful, how do you look? How do you talk? You have to really see yourself. When I was in prison, I love custom-made suits. I saw myself with a custom-made suit on.
Wow.
I said, they done South Carolina messed around and incarcerated me so I could be great. And my mentality was, y'all work for me at this prison. Y'all cook for me. Y'all do my laundry. Matter of fact, the corrections officers are here to provide me protection because I'm on my way to greatness.
Wow.
And that was truly my mentality.
Wow. Wow. It's one of those things that I absolutely say, man, you have to have a mindset makeover.
Right.
Brother, listen, I'm in awe, man. Look, where I meet you at to get an autograph, bro.
Hey, I'm telling y'all, I'm telling you.
This book is going to be amazing.
No, I'm back in Atlanta at 12 o'clock in the morning. As soon as it hits the strike, I'm crossing that line. I'll be right back. I'm going right back to Georgia.
Come on, man. Come on, brother. Listen. We'll take you. We'll take you, man. Because it's the mindset that you have. And I know it's something that you already had. We have several conversations before. I know it's something that you already had. But even going through that experience and being able to take what you already had and elevate it to another level, like you've 10x'd it, from conversations we've had before. You've 10x'd the
Right.
mindset of being a winner, man. And that's definitely, I know, what's got you through that and what's going to continue to elevate you to the next level, man. So I'm a fan of your accomplishments. And again, like I mentioned before, man, on personally and publicly, I'm here to serve whatever I can do to help you, man, in any way. I'm definitely here for you. Because I know, man, and many people say that, I'm not just saying this to get no accolades, but I'm saying that because I know your heart. I know the things that you want to be able to share with people. And for someone like you, it's easy to serve. You know what I mean? I was talking to Joe Castaneda. I think he was on the show a couple weeks ago. It's easy to serve people who have a heart for people.
Right.
So whatever I can do, man, to help you get the message out about your course or whatever you're going to be speaking, anything like that, definitely let me know how I can help to do that.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Because like I said, man, this testimony of yours, man, is like I said, I can't wait till this book comes out, because I know the book that you go write about this, bro.
Right.
Look, I'm speaking light to it. It's going to be a New York Times bestseller.
Definitely.
Let me get my little old book out first, and then you put yours out.
Definitely. Hey, let's do it. Hey, I'll tell people I'm open to joint venture with anyone. Like any wholesalers, if you have deals in which they're asking for too much money and you don't think you can make a profit, hey, let's get together. Let's make some money together. I'm here. For me, this is the year of collaborations. I want to create strategic alliances with individuals who are serious about becoming successful.
Definitely. And I'm definitely going to take you up on that. I'm definitely going to take you up on that as well. Man, listen, what else you want to share with the folks? We're coming up against the time, but we're open. If you got time, I got time. We'll make it work.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is, like I tell people, if you're going to be great, you have to participate. You can't just sit back and spectate. It's great watching YouTube videos. It's great reading. It's great, going to all these seminars or whatever, but you have to do something with that information. And then with the way that a lot of us are teaching you, it doesn't require any money and doesn't require you to have X in credit. I checked my credit 2 days ago, 544 and 536, and the other one's 5 something. My credit's horrible. I haven't been able to pay my bills in 2 years when I was incarcerated. Everything, went downhill or whatever, but that hasn't stopped me from becoming successful.
Man,
another thing is
you're gonna have 700s before too long, brother. I know you're gonna be in the 700-800 area.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Yeah, so I'm confident about that. But my biggest thing is just start from where you're at. Start from where you're at, and and get around the right people. Get around the right people who really have your best interests at heart, and just go for it, because the success is out here for all of us.
Definitely, man. Great stuff, bro. That's another thing that I want people to make sure we magnify what you just said, is start from where you are.
Right.
Oftentimes, people will look at their situation as a problem, again, speaking that negativity, what they don't have and what they can't do and all these other things, instead of looking at, one of the things that I always say is use what you have. You got to, one of the sayings is use what you got to get what you want.
Right.
If you can get up, and I use this, I guess, paraphrasing some of what you spoke about early, using what Les Brown says. If you fall down, make sure you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
Right.
And one of the things folks got to understand is that if you can get up and stand on 2 feet, if you can put one foot in front of the other, and you can think, at least count to 1, from 1 to 50 or 1 to 100, that's 80% of the battle right there.
That's right.
That's right.
So that is right.
It's the mindset, man.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
So listen, I want you to go ahead and share with the folks, man, how they can, again, become a part of your course. And if any other information you want to share, and how people can reach out to you.
Okay. I'm on all social media platforms, the Pretty House Guy. In terms of, if you want to set up a one-on-one call with me, just go to www.prettyhouseguy.com, and then just schedule something on my online calendar, and then we'll have a conversation. And then from that, there'll be some value given. You can ask me any type of questions, and then if it makes sense, I can enroll you in our coaching program. And then from there, you can really learn the nuts and bolts of how to become successful, making pretty profits pretty fast with pretty houses.
I love it. I love it. Pretty profits pretty fast with pretty houses. Man, so listen, we're definitely going to be, this is going to be in syndication. We're going to play this over and over again. So what I want to just recap a little bit for the folks that, hopefully that'll watch to the end or now watching the end of this. You work primarily with pretty houses, and you do that by way of contacting sellers that are listing their properties either for sale. Let me ask you this. Have you ever encountered working on anything that's listed, or you primarily focus on the ones that are not listed?
Yes, I have. So this is something that's very important. Maybe not right now. However, if we go into some type of an economic downturn, working with agents is going to become almost necessary for the agents as well as to investors to be able to benefit from each other. Because right now there's intense competition with these iBuyers. Like right now you see Zillow. Zillow actually has its own brokerage now.
Right.
So a lot of these agents are really panicking or whatever. And by having these collaborations, we can actually be able to cultivate and develop relationships to help out the seller as well as these buyers who want to get into these homes. Because, one of the greatest wealth builders of all time actually is to be able to own real estate.
True story.
So yes, I have worked with some agents, and there are some agents that are open to actually doing some creative type of finances and everything in terms of being able to do investment real estate. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to be looking for a broker to work with, in the Atlanta area. So, I have some good stuff for anybody who's a broker. I have some good stuff of how we can collaborate and make some money together.
Very good. Okay. All right, man. Listen, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I know this will not be the last time that we do this. We're definitely going to do this again because, like I said, your story is an amazing story, man. And I believe that the people that will hear it will definitely glean some wisdom and some knowledge from it. And it's an amazing testimony, man, to be able to go from being on top and then, losing it all and then coming back again and making it happen all over again. So, brother, I salute you. Again, I'm here to serve in any way that I can. And, again, if we got to do this to promote whatever else you got going on, let's do that. We'll make it happen.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So listen, folks, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. This has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show. Again, we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. Again, thanks again to my guest, Mr. Idris Talib. I got to make sure I say that right, for being on the show today. And thank y'all for watching, and we look forward to seeing y'all again.